$400 in white oak. I designed this credenza myself. Built it in my head 100 times before I ever touched the board. 60 inches wide with sliding doors. Something I'd look at every single day and really feel proud of. It didn't work though. I was in over my head and I knew it before I was halfway through. I hate failing. Not in a casual way everyone says it. I mean, it sits with me. It feels like wearing shoes that are too small. You can still walk, but every single step reminds you that something's wrong. So here's the strange part. I picked a hobby that's basically a machine for generating failure. Every project has dozens of chances to go wrong before you even get to the big one. And I couldn't leave that first credenza alone. I had to go back. Not because I suddenly became so confident, but it's because I couldn't let failure be the final word. If I could go back and talk to the guy who walked away from that first credenza, I'd tell him, you learn more from that failure than you lost. Go back to the shop and build something. This is me going back. I'm putting the boards on that side so I don't mar the plywood, meaning I don't damage or dent the plywood on that side. I'm way more confident in my skills now, but I'm still intimidated by this build. The time, the tools, the money, it's staggering, but I still want to crush this build. Miters have always given me a challenge. I've struggled with them on smaller projects, getting them tight, getting them clean, getting them to stay all the way through a glue up. So I decided to make a 7-foot long carcass with miters to prove I could do it. Seven foot of walnut plywood, sliding doors out of white oak, and even dovetailed drawers. This is either going to be the greatest thing I've ever built or one of the most expensive lessons ever taught. I spent a lot of time doing setup on this. I went back and forth between using the router or the track saw, ended up back at the router. I've done it before with the router and an edge guide and it did okay, but I'm gonna try with the track saw track this time. It might not be obvious, but I'm going down and doing a pass, then I'm stopping short on the ends and even in the center. The reason why I'm doing that is twofold. One, it's very hard to see in this. It actually causes something called parallax, so almost like a magnifying glass. And then also there's a little bump in the track, so I want to make sure in those spots that I take it super slow and on the edges that I don't blow out. These grooves have to be perfect. If they're off even by a fraction, the doors won't slide. One mistake here ruins everything I've built up to this point. That took 30 minutes to do all of them. I am really bad at being patient, and woodworking constantly forces me to be patient because if I'm not patient, I fail. And I hate failure more than I hate being patient. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I was super patient on this and it paid off. Let me show you. I'm about to route the dados for the center dividers of the credenza. It's important for a couple things. Stability, since it's a 7-foot long credenza, there'll be a sag in it without some center dividers, but also divides the cabinets into 3 different compartments. So I'm gonna go an 1/8 inch first, and then final depth is gonna be a 1/4 inch. Now I gotta do this without it because I gotta see my line. I have a 16th inch setup block and I'm setting up an offset on my track saw to cut a bevel. And why that is I have a solid wood edge and I don't want to cut past that solid wood edge into the plywood. And so I want to offset it just slightly. I'm just running this underneath the track. I'm using, again, my favorite LED UV hardwax from LED Coating Solutions. It is my tried and true, my favorite. I soak it up a little bit just so it doesn't fly everywhere. And then we go. So I'm setting up for the dividers and I noticed they were a little snug in the dados. I'm marking a line now to just do a little tiny bit of sanding. So one, they fit a little better, but also because these are pre-finished, the glue won't stick very well. Glue ups can be super stressful. I've had quite a few in my past that really kind of didn't go the way I wanted. And so for me, one of the things that really helps with a glue up, especially one as high pressure as this, is having everything set up and with a plan, order of operations. Gluing up miters on a 7-foot long carcass has its challenges. And so I'm gonna build jig clamps so that it'll help me out when I'm clamping together those big, awkward miter joints. I cut some strips at a 45-degree angle. This was some leftover scrap from some drawers I built. Next, I need to attach these to the boards and we will have a clamping surface for our miter carcass. If these miters don't close and look crisp, I'll be devastated. Every clamp has to go on fast. The glue doesn't wait. The miters have to pull tight before the glue sets. This is the moment where 7 foot of walnut plywood either becomes a credenza or becomes a very expensive mistake. Nice. The miter's closed. They're tight. They're crisp. They're clean. There's a saying in woodworking that you can never have enough clamps. On this project, that came true to me because I used every single clamp possible to make this glue up happen. And I probably could have used more, to be honest. So buy more clamps when you have a chance. Okay, next problem. This is the wood for the doors on the credenza. Most of these boards are pretty flat, except this one. Let's see how much room I have. It's about 1 1/8 inches, which is probably plenty of room for me to mill them down. A lot of times when I'm doing big projects like this, I tend to rush in places and I'm not sure why. And it's probably, I'm scared of messing something up, and that's counterintuitive because you should be slowing down. So I always tell myself in woodworking, slow down, take your time, think more, do less, plan, draw. When I first started, all I wanted to do was use tools and make stuff. And preparation is just as important. So a couple of the boards were pinching on the table saw, and that usually means there's tension in the wood. A few of these aren't going together anymore, and so I'll have to rejoin. Three are pretty good here. This last one, not so much. I've done sliding doors before, but not in hardwood. Hardwood moves, it expands, it contracts with humidity and temperature. The tolerance have to be pretty exact. Tight enough to look clean, loose enough to actually slide a year from now. This is to try and keep everything flat. Oh, wow, that's a lot. Why am I back in the panel clamps? Well, as I was starting to trim down the panels for the doors, I realized that my grain flow was not lining up correctly. I don't want it to be perfect anyways. I don't mind if it has some movement, it feels more organic. But one of the boards during the panel glow-ups got flipped. And so if the flow was on two panels, but the third one, it didn't flow right. And so I had to take it apart, cut it, rejoin the ends again, and then we're gonna do a quick glue up and then get back after it. Wish me luck. The tongues on the sliding doors have to match the grooves exactly. This is where hardwood gets unforgiving. There's no adjusting after the fact. The precision has to be right the first time. This is the cut I couldn't make confidently the first time I attempted this credenza. I can make it now. Pretty good. So this video is all about failure. What has been some of your biggest failures in the wood shop? For me, it's definitely this credenza, mostly because it was financial, but also it killed my self-esteem for a while because I wanted to have this beautiful showpiece to show off, and that's the wrong reason to build it, at least for me. And so I rushed and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't understand wood movement and making panels. And when you fail, the best part about it is the learning. And so that's why I'm not afraid of failure. I just hate it. I mean, I guess I'm afraid because I hate it so much. But once it happens, I embrace it. So far, this project's been going really well. But I want to throw a wrench in it by trying dovetails on my drawers. And the dovetail drawers, I didn't have to do dovetails. I chose them. So I'm getting some tear out on the ends of my drawer panels. And what I'm gonna do is take the marking gauge. You guys saw me already mark the faces of it, but I didn't mark the ends. It's a mistake on my part. I didn't really think I needed to, but I'm gonna go ahead and mark all the ends, and hopefully that helps with the tear out.
Ah, that's tear out. That's not good. Not perfect, but not too bad.
I'm nervous. I'm at the home stretch where the decisions I make now could really affect the rest of the build. And so obviously I don't want to fail. That's the whole theme of this video. Just going to try and focus and get as much as done as I can. Perfect. Because I use that router bit, my drawer bottoms have to have a radius on it. So I figured out what the radius was by using the bit. And so this is kind of my template that I'm going to use on the drawer bottoms to sand it. I think I'm going to sand it so that way everything fits correctly. With most plywoods, in fact, all that I know of, I've seen, there's an A side and a B side. And what that means is there's one good side and one not so good side. And on this piece, both sides are really good. They're two different species of walnut, it looks like. And so I get to pick, which rarely happens, which side I'm going to use for my drawer bottom. And because they're two different colors, makes it interesting with what I'm going to end up picking. Dovetails are slow, they're precise. They're completely hidden when the drawers are closed. Nobody will ever see these joints unless they pull the drawer all the way out and look for them. I know they're there, and that's enough. There we go, nice. I'm rounding over the edge of the runner so it slides right into the dado. I have not used metal at all throughout this whole build. I'm kind of bummed putting screws in, but it's the best choice for slides. I put tape on, it's supposed to help with tear out, but also when you're drilling these holes, I set it in there and I bring my drill up to full speed and then slowly plunge it. And that really helps eliminate tear out. I'm gonna turn it this way. I could have made this base simple. A standard plinth, done. Nobody would have noticed. But I decided to do the joinery properly. Not because anyone asked me to, because this build deserves it. Because I deserve to finish it the right way. Most of my work uses white oak as the primary wood, with walnut as the accent. That's become my signature, my style. This time I flipped it. Walnut plywood for the carcass, and white oak for the sliding doors. Part of it's practical. It's 7 foot long, plywood is more stable than solid wood, less seasonal movement, less risk, and that part is intentional. I wanted to do something different, even for myself. I'll be honest though, this plywood wasn't cheap. And for the price, the quality wasn't really what I expected. I had to cut around defects, work around problem areas. A good woodworker doesn't just work with perfect materials. They work with what they have. So that's what I did. I built for my wife. I want to make her nice things. She deserves it. When I first attempted this credenza, I had a vision of something beautiful in our home. Something we'd both be proud of. I didn't get there that time. This time, I did. I face failure every day in the wood shop, but somehow I've learned to just work with it, not against it. And I look forward to the next time I fail. If you would like to see what happens when I wear a heart rate monitor in the wood shop, click here.